A very good afternoon. You're watching the midday news on Rajya Sabha television, where we get you the biggest developing news stories at the top of this hour. I'm Aishwarya, and these are the headlines. Terrorism, climate change, trade, investment and connectivity among issues to be discussed at 12th Asia-Europe Meeting Summit that begins in Brussels today. Vice President M. Venkaiah Naidu to put forth India's concerns on protectionism and curbs on immigrant workers. Government will not push for re-verification of mobile service customer details, says Telecom Department, and UIDAI adds it will be done only if the customer opts to replace Aadhaar records with alternate identity or address proof. Hartal call in protest of Supreme Court order allowing entry of women of all age groups into the Sabrimala shrine in Kerala. Stray incidents of stone pelting reported in some parts of the state. Prohibitory orders in place as devotees continue to throng Holy Hill Shrine. RSS chief calls for appropriate and requisite law for building Ram temple in Ayodhya. In annual Vijayadashmi address, says construction of temple necessary for self-esteem and will pave way for atmosphere of goodwill and oneness. An Indian men's hockey team to take on Oman today as the Asian Hockey Champions Trophy kicks off in Muscat. Japan to face Malaysia in the opening match. Our top story this afternoon, Vice President M. Venkaiah Naidu is in the Belgium capital Brussels to attend the 12th Asia-Europe meeting or the ASEM meeting. On arrival, he was received by the Deputy Head of Protocol of Belgium and the Ambassador of India to Belgium. Apart from the summit, the Vice President will also be calling on His Majesty the King of the Belgians and hold bilateral meetings with Austria, Portugal, Switzerland and other countries on the sidelines. As many as 51 heads of states or the heads of government are expected to participate in the summit. On the final day of this tour, the Vice President is also slated to attend the reception hosted by the Indian Ambassador to Belgium, and he will address the Indian diaspora as well. The two-day 12th Asia-Europe meeting will be beginning in Brussels from today. Vice President M. Venkaiah Naidu is leading the Indian delegation in what will be his first multilateral summit since assuming office in August last year. The summit will focus on investment, security and tourism, among other concerns.
Brussels will host the two-day 12th Asia-Europe meeting. Vice President M. Venkaiah Naidu is leading an Indian delegation to the summit with the theme Global Partners for Global Challenges. In the multilateral dialogue, the leaders will discuss terrorism, climate change and trade, amid other issues.
The idea that internationalism has benefited some groups or countries unequally, and that interconnectivity is a source of more threats than opportunities lies behind some of the loss of support for multilateralism and free trade.
In the summit, India will put forward its concerns on protectionism and curbs being put by developed countries on immigrant workers from developing nations.
It is important for like-minded partners like India and the EU to ensure that the new system that emerges upholds the concepts of democracy, freedom, rule of law, respect for human rights and territorial integrity of states, multilateralism and rule-based international order. It has been reiterated many a times by our leaders, and I would re-emphasize that in sharing the same values and our convergence on most regional and global issues of common concern, India and the EU are natural partners.
Hosted by the European Union, the 2018 ASEM Summit will be chaired by the President of the European Council. The summit will focus on issues related to connectivity, trade and investment, sustainable development, climate change, terrorism, migration, maritime security and cyberspace.
The only way to change our world for the better is to work for a more cooperative world order and to do so together with all partners all around the world. The second message is, this is the core of our approach to multilateralism, partnerships based on equal footing, recognizing the political value of our interlocutors, showing respect and basing partnerships on cooperation.
Apart from the opening ceremony, Vice President Naidu will also participate in the plenary session and have interactions with various stakeholders. He will also hold bilateral meetings with various heads of state on the sidelines of the summit. Akhilesh Suman's report for Rajya Sabha TV.
Deputy Chairman of the Rajya Sabha, Harivansh, has emphasized on the need for carrying forward the dialogue on the issues of shared interest of the BRICS nations. Harivansh said that he said this as he presented India's views on fostering an inclusive and just world through inter-parliamentary cooperation during the 4th BRICS parliamentary meeting in Geneva on Wednesday. He also called upon other nations to work together constructively in the wake of 2030 agenda, which provides a useful framework for sustainable development with a general focus on major economic, social and environmental issues. Rajya Sabha Deputy Chairman also emphasized the urgent need to combat climate change by the BRICS, guided by the common but differentiated responsibilities. The President has accepted the resignation of MJ Akbar from the Union Council of Ministers with immediate effect. Minister of State for External Affairs MJ Akbar stepped down on Wednesday amid mounting pressure following a spate of allegations of sexual harassment against him by several women journalists. In a brief statement, Akbar said that he has decided to seek justice in a court of law in his personal capacity. His sudden announcement to quit came a day ahead of a hearing of a criminal defamation complaint filed by him against Priya Ramani, a journalist who had accused him of sexual misconduct around 20 years ago. According to media reports, there was a view in the government that MJ Akbar should fight the case in his personal capacity and not as a union minister. Over the past 10 days, 20 women have come forward to narrate their experiences of alleged sexual harassment at the hands of Akbar during his days as editor of several mainstream publications. His resignation was welcomed by many complainants and political parties as well.
गवर्नमेंट का जो डिसीजन है मैं उसका वेलकम करती हूँ क्योंकि कहीं ना कहीं उन्होंने वो सब इन्वेस्टिगेशन करने के लिए जब तक पूरा ना हो ये कहा होगा कि तब तक वो अपने पद से इस्तीफा दें और नेशनल कमीशन फॉर वुमेन इसका वेलकम करता है.
News from Kerala now, where several outfits opposing the entry of women of all age groups in the Sabrimala temple in the state have called for a bandh in the state today. Buses and auto rickshaws stayed off the roads at several places. Special security arrangements have been put in place at various locations, including Pamba and Nilakkal routes to the Sabrimala temple. However, stray incidents of stone pelting on Kerala state buses were reported from some parts of the state. Private vehicles, however, are plying in some areas. Police have also promulgated Section 144 of the CRPC in 4 places, including Pamba, to check any kind of protest and violence. The call for bandh has been given by an outfit of devotees against the police lathi charge against devotees. The BJP and the NDA partners have extended their support to the Hartal call. The Congress said that it would not join the strike but hold protest demonstrations across the state today. There were violent protests on Wednesday after protesters clashed with the police. Some of the outfits protesting have also asked the state government to bring in a law to get around the apex court verdict, allowing women of all ages to enter the shrine. And RSS chief Mohan Bhagwat today said that the government should clear the path for the construction of Ram temple in Ayodhya through an appropriate and requisite law. In his annual Vijayadashmi speech in Nagpur, he said that the temple construction was necessary for the self-esteem point of view and will pave way for an atmosphere of goodwill and oneness.
राजनीति नहीं आती तो मंदिर कब का बन चुका होता. सहयोग से बनता, समन्वय से बनता, सबके सहयोग से बनता, लेकिन राजनीति आ गई बीच में. और और इसलिए राम जन्मभूमि आंदोलन के एक सहयोगी संगठन के नाते हम कहते हैं नहीं, राम जन्मभूमि पर शीघ्रतापूर्वक राम मंदिर बनना चाहिए। ये ऐसे है, और इस प्रकरण को केवल लंबा करने के लिए जो हस्तक्षेप चले हैं, वो प्रकरण लंबा नहीं होना चाहिए, जल्दी निर्णय मिलना चाहिए। और हम कहते हैं कि सरकार कानून बनाए, कानून बनाकर मंदिर बनाए।
And the Election Commission has urged the government to slash the cap on anonymous donations to political parties from the present 20,000 to 2,000 rupees to usher in more transparency. The Election Commission's move comes ahead of the Lok Sabha elections due next year. In a letter to the Law Ministry last week, the Commission pointed out that while its demand to cap the cash donations to parties has been accepted and made part of the Finance Act, another demand to cap the anonymous donation to 2,000 rupees is still pending. The poll panel had written to the government in the middle of 2017 to amend Section 29C of the Representation of the People Act 1951 to put a cap on anonymous donations. Meanwhile, preparations are going on in full swing for the Mizoram Assembly elections to be held on 28th of November. The Election Commission held a review meeting on Wednesday. Chief Election Commissioner O.P. Rawat has said that the poll preparations made by the state election machinery are satisfactory. Rawat, who is in Aizawl, said that earlier elections in the state, Mizoram will have free and fair election, which would set an example for the whole nation.
Commission has directed the state level officials and district level officials to be fearless, totally neutral and independent from any influence whatsoever, interacted with all the political parties to learn about their concerns. In addition, Commission also met Civil Society Coordination Committee representatives who also expressed their views.
More news from Mizoram, where BJP President Amit Shah kicked off the party's poll campaign in the state on Wednesday. And at a rally, he levelled corruption charges at the Congress government in the state and said that it had failed to deliver services to the people. He accused the Mizoram's chief minister of running a corrupt and a dynamic rule in the state. Amit Shah said that the BJP would not form an alliance with any other political party in Mizoram, including the opposition Mizo National Front. The BJP is expected to contest all the 40 seats of the Mizoram Assembly. Mizoram will see a single-day voting on 28th of November and the results will be declared on 11th of December.
मगर उनको डर है कि 129 स्कीम नरेंद्र मोदी जी की अगर मिजोरम की जनता तक पहुंची तो मोदी जी यहां लोकप्रिय हो जाएंगे। मैं चीफ मिनिस्टर मिजोरम को कहना चाहता हूं 28 नवंबर तक आप रोक लो। आफ्टर 28 नवंबर यहां भारतीय जनता पार्टी की सरकार बनने वाली है जो 129 स्कीम को मिजोरम की जनता तक पहुंचाने का काम करेगी।
And in more election-related news, Manmohan Singh, Rajasthan BJP MLA and the son of former Union Minister Jaswant Singh, joined the Congress party on Wednesday. He was welcomed into the party's fold by Congress President Rahul Gandhi at his residence. His defection comes ahead of the state assembly elections in December. Along with Manmohan, his wife Chitra Singh and brother Bhupendra Singh also joined the Congress party. Manmohan Singh was suspended from the primary membership of the BJP for campaigning against the BJP candidate in the 2014 general election in Barmer. He had campaigned for his father Jaswant Singh, who contested the 2014 general elections as an independent. And reacting to the move, senior BJP leader Rao Rajendra Singh said that individuals are not bigger than the party. BJP's Katol MLA in Maharashtra, Ashish Deshmukh, also joined the Congress party on Wednesday. And in midday news, time for a very short break. Stay tuned for more news and updates. The government will not push for re-verification of mobile services customers, and it will be done only if a customer opts to replace Aadhaar records with any alternate identity or address proof. Now, this has been stated in a joint statement by the Department of Telecom and the Unique Identity Authority of India. The joint statement has said that the Supreme Court has prohibited the issue of new SIM cards through Aadhaar eKYC authentication process, and there is no direction to deactivate the old mobile phones. It said that there is absolutely no reason for panic. Now, there are speculations that subscribers enrolled through Aadhaar-based authentication process may have to provide fresh documents to complete their KYC process again, as a Supreme Court judgment has restricted the use of Aadhaar-based verification by private entities. With a view to set up additional infrastructure for the treatment of non-communicable diseases at district hospitals, Niti Aayog laid down norms for a public-private partnership model. Under the model, the private sector will be provided space for setting up of facilities for the treatment of cardiac, oncological and pulmonary diseases by the state governments. The cost of the treatment will be the same as specified under the Ayushman Bharat or states' insurance schemes. Here are all the details.
The Niti Aayog has laid down guidelines for facilitating the entry of the private sector into the health sector at district level through the public-private partnership model. These guidelines for non-communicable diseases have been charted out by the Niti Aayog in partnership with the Ministry of Health and Family Welfare, state governments and representatives from the healthcare industry. The contribution of non-communicable diseases to the overall disease burden in the country has increased over the years. An estimated 46.9% people suffered from non-communicable diseases in 1990, and this number rose to 72.5% in 2016. Lack of facilities in government hospitals, constrained fiscal space within states to allocate increased resources for healthcare, and costly treatment in private hospitals are some of the reasons for this increase.
ज़िले के अस्पताल में अगर हम उस की सेवाओं में क्रॉनिक नॉन कम्युनिकेबल डिजीज़ हैं, हार्ट की है, कैंसर की है, उसकी सुविधाओं को बढ़ाना है अगर हमने, तो उसके लिए एक फ्रेमवर्क आपके सामने एक लाया गया कि इन टर्म्स के ऊपर पब्लिक प्राइवेट पार्टनरशिप की जा सकती है और उससे सेवा करने के लिए जो ज़िले की अस्पताल की ताकत है वो बढ़ जाती है.
4 PPP models, management of contract, build, operate and transfer model or a co-location model have been proposed. In the management of contract model, the state government will bring in a private partner for a period of 10 to 15 years for investing in equipping the government facility, hiring human resources and managing the facility, while the government will reimburse the private partner. In the purchasing of services model, the state government will identify medical and surgical procedures that a private partner whom they empanel will carry out, and the government will pay or co-pay the costs. This will be for a period of 1 to 3 years. In the build, operate and transfer model, the private partner will have the vacant land offered by the government for 30 years or more and will finance the project. The government will allow patients to be charged by the private facility. This payment will be termed user fee. The co-location model will involve the government allowing a private partner to set up a separate facility through private investment within an existing government hospital for a duration of 15 years with a renewal option. And it will also allow the private facility to charge patients.
लक्ष्य यही है कि नया इन्वेस्टमेंट हेल्थ सेक्टर में आए, वर्ल्ड क्लास इंफ्रास्ट्रक्चर बने और गुड क्वालिटी डॉक्टर्स अवेलेबल हों और पेशेंट्स को अच्छी केयर मिले एट रीजनेबल एंड लो रेट्स. और ये जब आप ट्रांसपेरेंट कॉम्पिटिटिव बिडिंग करिएगा तो ट्रांसपेरेंट तरीके से लो रेट्स आएंगे इसके और वर्ल्ड क्लास इंफ्रास्ट्रक्चर्स के साथ बनेगा. तो ये ट्रांसपेरेंसी रहेगी, इसमें कॉम्पिटिटिवनेस रहेगा, अच्छी क्वालिटी रहेगी, वर्ल्ड क्लास इंफ्रास्ट्रक्चर बनेगा. ये हमारा लक्ष्य है.
The decision to create public-private partnership models in the health sector was taken in March 2016 by Prime Minister Narendra Modi. The center of these PPPs are district hospitals, and the focus is on preventing, diagnosing and treating non-communicable diseases like heart and lung diseases and cancer in Tier 2 and Tier 3 cities. Panchanan Mishra's report for Rajya Sabha TV.
News from Rajasthan now. The centre has rushed a team of the Indian Council of Medical Research to Rajasthan as the number of people infected with the Zika virus rose to 100. The team will help intensify vector control measures in the state. According to the Health Ministry officials, of the total affected people, 23 are pregnant women. 20 new Zika cases were confirmed from Jaipur and 2 neighbouring districts on Wednesday. The experts from ICMR will change the insecticides which are being used in the city to kill mosquitoes that spread Zika, dengue and chikungunya viruses. Zika virus has been found in some mosquitoes taken as samples from Sindhi camp and densely populated Shastri Nagar area. The State Additional Chief Secretary, Medical and Health, Veenu Gupta, chaired a review meeting in Jaipur on Wednesday. She said that almost all patients are healthy after treatment, adding that 3/4 patients do not have symptoms of the disease and have recovered. More than 1 lakh households have been surveyed in Shastri Nagar and in neighbouring areas, and 330 teams have been engaged to destroy mosquito larvae found during the survey. On Tuesday, the Union Health Ministry directed the National Centre for Disease Control to monitor the cases on a daily basis and urged people not to panic. And Delhi's air quality for the first time this season deteriorated to the very poor category, with several areas in the national capital nearing severe levels of pollution. The Central Pollution Control Board has said that dust from unpaved roads, construction activities and traffic congestion are the main reasons behind the deterioration of air quality. It has also predicted a further deterioration of the air quality in Delhi NCR in the coming days. The overall air quality index, or the AQI of Delhi, was recorded at 315 on Wednesday. And AQI around 200 is considered as moderate, between 201 and 300 as poor, and over 300 as very poor. CPCB has deployed 41 teams to monitor the implementation of the measures taken to combat air pollution. The Pollution Control Board has implemented the Graded Response Action Plan from Monday, under which a number of measures to curb air pollution were implemented based on the daily air quality index. Sri Lankan Prime Minister Ranil Wickremesinghe will arrive in India this evening on a 3-day visit. Wickremesinghe will hold wide-ranging talks with Prime Minister Narendra Modi on Saturday, and during the visit, the two Prime Ministers are likely to review the status of the India-assisted housing projects in Jaffna. Home Minister Rajnath Singh and External Affairs Minister Sushma Swaraj will also call on Wickremesinghe. Big story coming in from the United States, where the Trump administration has said that it is planning to revise the definition of employment and specialty occupations under the H-1B visa. Now, if realized, this move could have a detrimental impact on Indian IT companies and small and medium-sized contractual firms, mostly owned by Indian Americans. The H-1B visa, the most sought after among Indian IT professionals, is a non-immigrant visa that allows US companies to employ foreign workers in specialty occupations that require theoretical or technical expertise. The technology companies depend on it to hire tens of thousands of employees each year from countries like India and China. The Department of Homeland Security has said that the US Citizenship and Immigration Services plans to come out with its new proposal by January 2019. It proposes to revise the definition of specialty occupation to increase focus on obtaining the best and the brightest foreign nationals via the H-1B program. It also proposes to revise the definition of employment and employer-employee relationship to better protect the US workers and wages. The Trump administration is reviewing the H-1B visa policy that it thinks is being misused by companies to replace American workers. And all the sports news now. India's medal tally has increased to 13 at the Youth Olympic Games after Indian archer Akash claimed silver in the men's recurve event. Akash had to settle for the bronze. He had to settle for silver after losing his gold match 0-6 to Trenton Coles of the United States. And earlier, India's Praveen Chitrawal clinched the bronze medal in a triple jump event at the Youth Olympics. 17-year-old Chitrawell recorded his best jump of 15.68 on his fourth and final attempt in the stage 2 of the event to finish with a combined total of 31.52 meters. Chitrawell is the second individual from India to bag a medal in athletics. India now has 13 medals in total, including 3 gold, 9 silver and 1 bronze medal. And Indian shuttlers Sameer Verma, Kidambi Srikanth and Saina Nehwal will play their second round matches at the Denmark Open Badminton tournament today. In the men's singles event, Srikanth will face China's Lin Dan. Earlier, Srikanth defeated Denmark's Hans Christian Wittinghus in 35 minutes with a scoreline of 21-16, 21-10 to move to the next round. While Sameer Verma will face Jonathan Christie of Indonesia, he entered the second round, beating China's Xiu Kui 21-17, 21-18. In the men's, that was the results. And in the women's singles, Saina Nehwal will face Japan's Akane Yamaguchi. Saina Nehwal defeated Hong Kong's Nagin Ya-Cheung 20-22, 21-17, 24-22 in the first round in the match that lasted for 81 minutes. However, mixed doubles pair of Ashwini Ponnappa and S. Ranki Reddy bowed out of the tournament after losing the first round match. And the Asian Hockey Champions Trophy will kick off from today in Muscat. Japan will face Malaysia in the opening match of the tournament, while the Indian men's hockey team will start its campaign against host Oman today. In the previous encounter in the 2014 Asian Games, the men in blue defeated Oman 7-0. After playing Oman in the first match, India will face arch rivals Pakistan on 20th of October, Japan on 21st of October, Malaysia on the 23rd and South Korea on 24th of October. And with that, we wrap up this edition of Midday News. Thanks for watching.